Hey you guys, I'm coming to you this morning from the Boulevard Trail, and that is one of the 5 main corridor trails that leads up to the summit of LeConte. And I started this morning just before the sun came up at Newfound Gap, came in on the AT for a couple miles before hitting the boulevard, and now here I am. So my route today will take me up to the top of LeConte on this trail, then I'll go down Rainbow Falls, back up Bullhead. These are all some of the corridor trails of LeConte. I'll take another break up there, probably have a little lunch before I start my final descent onto the Bullhead, or the Boulevard Trail, and head on out the way I came, because that's where my car is waiting for me. So it'll be about 30 miles, and this is a training hike that I'm doing for the Tour de LeConte, which I'm taking on, as many of you may already know, in late October with my good buddy Chris Ford, and we are super excited about raising money for the Trillium Gap Restoration Project through the Trails Forever program, which Friends of the Smokies heads up. And we are doing our best to raise awareness for this effort, as well as $5,000. So that's what all this is about, and it's why I'm putting in all this time and energy out on these trails to show you guys some of the highlights of some of them, to encourage you to get out here and enjoy this incredible park for yourselves, but also to pay it forward to the trails, because they certainly need our help and need our care. And one of the most profound ways that we can do that is by giving up, coffee drink or two and making just a small donation to contribute to these projects. So I will check back in later as I get closer to the top, and hope everybody has a great day. Bye. I'm still on the Boulevard Trail. I'm about halfway up it, and I'm starting to get into these higher elevation views. Back behind me, you can see, I hope, some of these mountains across the way. Gosh, I'm just so fortunate about how pretty it is. The trail is in great shape. I just couldn't ask for a better day. So I am going to keep hiking. The trail has treated me kindly as far as elevation gain. It's not been bad at all. Really the hardest part of this trail, in my opinion, is at the start when you're on the AT, because it is pretty rocky and lots of big boulders that you have to step up on. So I have reached the Anarchista formation that I wanted to show you, and it's a little bit of a sketchy part of the trail. You have to be careful where you're stepping. You don't want to come off of this little spot where the trail kind of hugs the formation, where they have carved it out for hikers. Interesting stuff that lives in this rock. One of those is fool's gold, and I think it's iron pyrite is the name of fool's gold. But when they were building one of the roads to Newfound Gap, I think it was back in the 1920s, there's a story that's been told that some of the people building that road blasted into some of this Anarchista formation and thought that they had struck gold, and so they took home a bunch of fool's gold to their families and then realized what it was. There's also a lot of iron sulfide in this rock, and once there was a pretty significant landslide on this trail. I think it's called the Huggins Hell area, and it released so much of that iron sulfide that it lowered the pH of the water in the streams that it was not even safe to drink. So that's pretty potent. So my climbing's not over yet. I'm almost to the top of LeConte, but I'm at a junction that I wanted to point out. And that is let's see. Right there, the Myrtle Point Trail is 0.2 miles out to a point called Myrtle Point. And it's a beautiful place to take in the sunrise. So if you ever want to come up here during the sunrise for a hike, that would be the place to go to watch it. So right now I'm standing at the LeConte shelter. This is the backcountry shelter. This is not the lodge where a lot of people choose to stay and pay a lot more money to do so. This costs $4 a night versus, I don't know, probably $100 a person a night at the lodge. I'm not even sure. But this is a really popular shelter. It gets a lot of use. I just passed the official summit of LeConte and I started to take a video and then a man walked up and I was embarrassed, so I stopped. So I am now coming down the Rainbow Falls Trail. I just passed the turnoff for the Alum Cave Trail, and I'd say if there's one popular trail, or the most popular trail that leads to LeConte, that's it. And for good reason. It's got a lot of super cool geological features, some crazy awesome views. I don't think the climb is that bad. Now, you know, granted, I think that it's all perspective, and when you compare it to the other trails that lead to LeConte, I think that's where that comment really stems from, because there are, to me, more difficult trails. I think probably the most difficult, by my assessment so far, is Bullhead, really, even though it's one of the shorter ones. We'll see how I feel today. The last time I did it was in spring, and it was a hot day, and it's really exposed because of the fires, so I was, you know, definitely affected from the heat, and it's going to be a warm one today, so I may have the same opinion, but Alum is definitely worth doing, and in the future I'll definitely take you on a little highlights tour of it too as we continue our training. So I'm walking along, all of a sudden I saw something drop from this big boulder that I'm walking around. And look what it was. Little cutie pie. It's a red cheeked salamander. Can you see his little red cheeks? And he's okay. He's been squirming around. I haven't picked him up because they breathe through their skin, and you want to be real careful with picking them up and only use it, preferably something like a plastic bag, to create a barrier between your hand and their skin. But I love these little guys. I'm trying to get a close-up of his little cheeks. Hey, buddy. So I'm on a section of the Rainbow Falls Trail right now that was burned in the 2016 fires pretty badly, and try to sweep around here so you can see some of these charred trees. This is not a hike that I would choose on a windy day necessarily, because some of these snags might come down on you, but it's really beautiful, the contrast. Let's see if I can show you that goldenrod growing up on the hillside with these big, huge boulders up there on the hillside too. It makes for really a spectacular backdrop just for, I mean, an area obviously that went through a lot of devastation, but it's still beautiful nonetheless, especially to see the regrowth at this point. But I'm getting closer to Rainbow Falls. We'll see what the water situation is like there. One thing that's nice about the top of LeConte is that you can refill your water bottles as long as the water pump is running. I think in the winter they probably turn it off. I'm pretty sure they do. But there is a spring where you need to always filter it, but you can get more water that way too. Just finished up Rainbow Falls, and I didn't record much at all because there were so many people. It was like an army of people going up and down the trail, so I'm never comfortable doing that in front of other people. But it was an interesting walk. There's always interesting outlooks on trails when you encounter that many people and hear conversations. I heard this one woman telling somebody headed up that Rainbow Falls was really dry, which it was. But she said, so it really wasn't that beautiful. I'll let you be the judge for yourself if you think it's beautiful. Even without water, it's a pretty amazing place to go and hang out, and well worth the time, no matter what the water levels, in my opinion. So, feeling good. I'm about, I think, close to 15 miles in. I just looked and it was 14 point something, and feeling great. I haven't eaten lunch yet. I probably will up at the Pulpit, which is a super cool place on the Bullhead Trail, and I'm really not that hungry. When it's hot, I don't get that hungry, and I know I should eat more. And I've been kind of snacking on something in my hip belt pocket this whole time, so I feel good. So this is the pulpit. It was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps, I believe, when they were building this trail. And it's just a pile of rocks, basically. So before I get moving again, I just want to show off my umbrella because it's my most valuable piece of gear on both sunny days and rainy days. I love it for exposed areas like this where it's super hot, and it just keeps the sun from beating down as much as it would otherwise. It certainly doesn't keep you from getting overheated completely, but it definitely helps. So if you're prone to overheating, and I definitely am, I can't recommend it enough. The one I have is by Gossamer Gear. You could just buy a cheap one at Walmart if you didn't, or Target, wherever. But I really like this one just because of the canopy on it. It has a reflective surface. I don't know how well you can appreciate that, but it's great for the sun, and it's super lightweight, pretty durable. In the wind, you want to put it up, but I love it, and I would never hike without it. Well, I'm back on the Boulevard Trail, heading home, or heading out. I stopped at LeConte after I finished up Bullhead and filled up my water bottles. I've got about, I don't know, 6 or 7 more miles probably left where I am right now. So I'm gonna cruise on down and get a Dairy Queen Blizzard to reward myself for the effort. So back on the AT, almost there, but I wanted to stop and just show off this view behind me because pretty spectacular way to end the day. I hope you can see that back there. It's just beautiful. And the evening is cool, it's not too cold. The day has been, well, hot in places, but overall not too terribly bad. There's all these little birds flying around me. Feeling really good, just feeling the peace that I always feel at the end of a long hike. So I'm gonna bug out. I have a feeling I might be just a hair shy under 30 miles and it's gonna make me crazy, so I'm gonna walk around the parking lot until I hit 30. Well, mission complete, 30 miles. I'm really happy about it. I did have to walk around the parking lot for just a minute to get to that 30, but I'm so pleased with the way the day went. It was a tough one. I think I ascended, it was close to 6,700 feet, and then 30 miles right on the nose. It is much appreciated by Friends of the Smokies and certainly the Park Service. We all need to pay it forward and pay it back to this amazing place that gives so much to our spirits and challenges our bodies in such crazy, awesome ways. And I, for one, am a big fan, so that's why I'm doing this. You guys take care, and I will see you at the next training hike.